people when he emailed me, he said about 30 to 35 people tomorrow.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we keep it kind of simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Very warm welcome to everyone who's here and everyone who's on Zoom and on live streaming. And it's lovely to be back at the LJS, as always. So we're going to be reading from service number 2 this evening, and that's on page 75. And I'm delighted to invite Leslie to come up and light the candles for us. Would you please rise?
You shall call the Sabbath a delight. These lights we kindle are a symbol of joy. May their brightness lift our spirits and fill our hearts with happiness and peace.
One.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you so much. Please be seated, everybody. We're on page 75. The Sabbath has descended to enfold us in its mantle of peace. It brings to us the precious gift of time. Time to embrace family and friends, to reflect more deeply on the meaning and purpose of our lives, and to worship in the beauty of holiness. May our Sabbaths always be sanctuaries of love and devotion, bringing contentment to our hearts, happiness to our homes, and blessing to our people. And on page 77, the Eternal One reigns, let the earth rejoice. Clouds and darkness surround you. Your lightnings illumine the world. Mountains melt like wax before you, O God. The heavens proclaim your righteousness. Zion hears and is glad. For you are supreme over all the earth. Light dawns for the righteous. Let the righteous rejoice in you. Would you please rise? We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, whose word brings on the evening, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes times and seasons, and whose will sets the stars in their courses in the sky. You make day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light. You make day pass and bring on the night, and separate day from night. You rule the hosts of heaven. We praise you, O God, whose word makes evening fall.
Torah
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. Please be seated. All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, Eternal One, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You have freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt, forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly we accepted your rule. Then, full of joy, we sang together. And it has been said, the Eternal One has delivered Jacob and redeemed us from the hand of one stronger than ourselves. We praise you, O God, Redeemer of Israel.
Shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagita hilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagita hilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chastei Avot ve'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'Nehem, Lema'an Shemo be'Ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Machaye Meitim atah, Rav laHoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hageshem, Mazriach hashemesh u'morid hatal. Mechalkel chaim b'chesed, Machaye Meitim barachamim rabim. Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, umatir asurim, umakayem emunato lishenei afar. Mi chamocha ba'al gevurot, umi domelach, melech meimit umachaye umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lahachayot meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hameitim. Kadosh atah v'nora shemecha, Ve'ein lanu Eloach mibal adecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. And let's read together at the foot of page 98. We thank you, O God, for this Sabbath day, which calls us to a closer communion with you. Though you are near to us at all times, you reveal your presence most clearly when we direct our thoughts towards you in worship and meditation. In you, O God, our humanity is exalted. You are our life. From you come its greatness, its power, its beauty. Establish in us, we humbly pray, a devotion to you that shall be firm in all the circumstances of life. May this service renew in our hearts the sense of your presence and bring us peace. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, ritzei v'imnuchatenu, kadshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chelkenu b'toratecha, sab'enu mituvecha, v'samchenu b'shuatecha, v'taher libeinu le'ovdecha be'emet, v'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava u'v'ratzon Shabbat kodshecha, v'yanuchu v'Yisrael makadshei shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, whom alone we worship in reverence. And together, Modim anachnu lach, sha'atahu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu leolam va'ed. Tzur chayenu magen nish'enu, atahu ledor vador. Nodelecha unesaper tehilatecha, al chayenu hamasurim biadecha, ve'al nishmotenu hapekudot lach, ve'al nisecha shebechol yom imanu, ve'al niflaotecha v'tovotecha shebechol eit, erev v'avoker v'tzohoraim. Baruch ata Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. Shalom Rab, al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rab, al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rab, al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rab, al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. Baruch atah Adonai osei hashalom. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. We'll just take a few moments now for silent prayer. The story goes that Frank Lloyd Wright was once a witness in a court case during which he referred to himself as the greatest living architect. When his wife later reproved him for his lack of humility in public, Lloyd Wright responded, "I had no choice. I was under oath." In Judaism, humility, anavah, is considered to be among the highest of the virtues. Throughout the Hebrew Bible, there are numerous examples. Abraham, attempting to persuade God not to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, cries out, "Here I venture to speak to the Eternal One, my God, I who am but dust and ashes." In the book of Deuteronomy, when giving rules regarding how a king of Israel is to behave, God instructs the king to have a copy of the Torah written and for him to read in it all his life. Thus he will not act haughtily towards his fellows. And the prophet Micah famously summed up the essence of a successful life in these words: "God has told you, O human beings, what is good and what the Eternal One requires of you, only to do justice and to love goodness and to walk humbly with your God." And in this week's Torah portion, V'ha'alotcha, Moses is described as a very humble man, more so than any other man on earth. Indeed, when God first instructs him to bring the Israelites out of Egypt, he protests to God 5 times that he is inadequate to the task. "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt?" he asks God. Moses' humility is given as one of the principal reasons for God choosing him for this task. Well, anavah, humility, is a rather tricky virtue to assess and measure. According to our Jewish sources, no one fully masters humility. It's a virtue on which we have to work continually, a lifelong pursuit. We are all human beings, works in progress. No one is perfect. We all have areas in which we need to improve. Torah reminds us that we were formed from the dust of the earth, and to dust we will eventually go. On the other hand, I don't know if any of you have seen Dame Maureen Lipman in Rose. Fantastic 2 hour and 40-minute monologue, a one-woman drama. It's absolutely fantastic. And one of the things she does is, on the one hand and on the other hand, moves her hand beautifully. So on the other hand, we were created b'tselem Elohim, in God's image. And so we have the potential to become great. It is said that we should keep 2 truths in our pockets. In one, I am but dust and ashes, and in the other, for my sake the world was created. If we get a bit above ourselves, we take out the first, and if we're too down on ourselves, we take out the second. Well, life, as Dr. Seuss once commented, is a great balancing act. Finding the balance between humility and pride can be a fine line to walk, but our tradition encourages us to seek that balance. When we know our own worth, we are in danger of becoming arrogant and prideful. And yet, humility does not mean that we have to imagine that we are less worthy than we really are. Pride, arrogance, and self-satisfaction leave little opportunity for growth and improvement. True humility gives us room to grow, to learn, to gain wisdom, to develop courage and dignity, to gain and give respect and love. The effect of humility we read in Proverbs chapter 22 is awe of the Eternal One, wealth, honor, and life. A Hasidic tale tells of a man who came to the tzaddik with a complaint. "All my life," he said, "I've tried to follow the advice of the rabbis, that one who runs away from fame will find that fame pursues him. And yet, while I run away from fame, fame never seems to pursue me." And the tzaddik replied, "Well, the trouble is that while you run away from fame, you're always looking over your shoulder to see if fame is chasing after you." So Moses' example is considered by the rabbis of Talmud and Midrash to be the best example of anavah, the virtue of humility in our tradition. He was, of course, the greatest leader in the Torah. Joseph, too, in his later years, demonstrates humility and greatness. Pharaoh's number 2, he humbles himself before his brothers and acknowledges that his success and ability come from God. It is possible for greatness and humility to go hand in hand. And I think our politicians could learn a thing or two about that. For most of us, it's about balancing self-criticism and self-effacement on the one hand with self-respect and self-esteem on the other. It's important to know what our strong points are, as well as our limitations, of course, and use them to noble and worthy ends. After all, we can acknowledge, like Joseph, that the gifts we have come from a divine source, not from us, and we honor God when we realize our potential. True humility does not mean hiding our light under a bushel. In the words of the poet Marianne Williamson, and I know you've heard these before from me, but they're definitely worth repeating, and of course Nelson Mandela quoted them in his inauguration address. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be so brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are we not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. It's how we let that light shine that makes the difference. May God give us the strength to acknowledge and confront our limitations and our shortcomings, the wisdom to recognize and nurture with humility our talents and strengths, the courage to shine and to share the gifts we have been given. Then there is hope of healing and growth. There is a commitment to live life more generously, more wisely. There's a commitment to the future, to move forward, to choose life, love, and partnership with others for the benefit of all. Kein Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will for us. Amen. And so we turn now to page 519, to the concluding prayers of our service. Would you please rise? Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen. Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael osei niflaot levado. Uvaruch Shem kavodo leolam v'yimalei kavodo et kol haaretz. Amen v'amen. The eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day the eternal God shall be one and known to be one. May your love, O God, rest upon us as we rest our hope in you. All the nations that you have made shall come and bow down before you and honor your name. Let God be praised by day. Let God be praised by night. Let God be praised when we lie down. Let God be praised when we rise up. Avinu shebashamayim, yached shimcha v'kayem malchutcha tamid, u'meloch aleinu leolam va'ed. As we worship before you, O God, we think of those who once shared with us the joys and burdens of life and who are no longer in our midst. The sorrow of bereavement is softened by the bond of love which continues to unite us with our dear ones and by our cherished memories of them, which we will always carry in our hearts. May all that was good in their lives remain with us as an influence for good. And this Shabbat in our community, we remember on the occasion of their yahrzeits, Amo Arevuo, Marguerite and Eric Birkenstein, Elaine Cohen, Abraham Freeman, Julius Geiger, Elaine Goldman, Fedor Kalinowski, Rose Kay, Gordon Lewin, Hyman Moros, Cyril Herbert Nathan, Daphne Redblatt, Jack Rosenthal, Arthur Simon, Edna Wasserman, and Lawrence Young. Are there any other names that anyone would like to mention of people that you're thinking of in particular this Shabbat? O God, grant consolation to those who are in sorrow, and light to those in darkness. Teach us at all times to put our trust in you and to praise your name, as we say together. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yir'utei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'la'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar v'yit ale v'yit halal. Shmei dekudasha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol b'nei adam, ve'imru amen. May great peace descend from heaven, and abundant life be granted to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity. And let us say, amen. Please be seated, everybody. So announcements. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Tammy and Tim. Beautiful, as always. Thank you. Alex, have you got some announcements? So on the 17th of June, the children and young people of Rimon will be holding their own Lador Vador service in the sanctuary, and there will be a parallel Kolenu service in the John Rayner room with alternative readings and prayers. Nosh and Drosh, that same day at 1 o'clock, the Jews left behind, the stories of Jews living in Ethiopia today. So that's Makita, UK charity, will be there to talk about how they're supporting the Ethiopian community. On Sunday, the 25th of June at 2 o'clock, there's a visit to the Mark Chagall windows at Tudley Church. Michael Romaine will be leading that. And on just one other announcement, on Sunday, the 11th of June, there's a Liberal Judaism sing-along. So if you like to sing, just, and don't worry about if you feel you can't sing, because everyone can sing. And this is just fun. It's a bit of a jam session. So there's going to be music that most of you will know from services. There'll be some music in parts. There'll be some new music that we might learn. And then the last hour will just be a big jam session for everyone. And there'll be requests. And so I hope you'll be able to come. That's at Mosaic Jewish Community in Stanmore. And have a look at the LJ website or ask me afterwards if you want any information about that. Good. So I think we're going to be finishing with Ki Eshmera Shabbat, which is on page 244. of course, also a big thank you to Rabbi Alex, who's in the back there, sorting out all the tech. Would you please rise? Adonai yishmor teitcha uvoecha me'ata va'ad olam. May the Eternal One guard your going out and your coming in, now and always. Adonai oz la'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Eternal God, grant strength to your people. Eternal God, bless your people with peace. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.